Hello, everybody. Welcome to ACAB True Crime, or welcome back to ACAB True Crime. I am doing another live stream today, and I am continuing with what I left off with last evening or last night when I went live, and that was on the Pacific Northwest and kind of like more of the West Coast weird stuff that's going on. In just different instances, I think have kind of raised my attention that I want to discuss and talk about and just put out there to see if anyone else sees any parallels or similarities. But before we get into any of that, I almost forgot, but I've also been starting each of my streams with reviewing like difficult material with a little spell type thing. So I have some smudge spray that and protection spray that I'm gonna spray on myself. And then I'm also gonna light. Shit, where'd my lighter go? Okay, so I will say this. I return to the thread already in motion. And this is also a protection candle. We've got 2 incenses. So yeah, I say I return to the thread already in motion. May clarity guide me, and may the unheard be seen. I speak with purpose. I listen for patterns, and I open space for truth to see. No, truth to rise. So mote it be. And I don't know why, but I've just been feeling like a little bit extra witchy today. Or maybe I should say anxious, because I like keep trying to do tarot readings instead of just going live, because I still get a little bit like camera shy. But I just got a new tarot deck, and I like it. It's called Ethereal Vision. So I think just to start off also our live stream with a tarot card, and then I'll get into the rest of the video. So let's see if also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. That would be super awesome. I'm trying to get to 500 people. That's like my goal. I should make it my goal before like Halloween or something. I better be able to make that. Anyways, and please like the video if you like the video as well. And this shouldn't take long. So yeah, I'm also like, not only am I, a little bit of a witchy person, I also am kind of like a scientific person. Oh, interesting. It's the Hermit. Maybe this is the sign to tell me to like not go live, because it's basically about going inward. And well, here, I'll read you the definition. I feel like I want to draw another one, but maybe I should just leave that. So it is the astrological correlation to Virgo, and the Hermit advises you that now is the time for reflection. You must look inward for truth and wisdom, for you have all the knowledge you need inside yourself. Be calm and reflective. Do not let the outside world distract you from the messages you hold within. Well, okay, that's probably really good advice for me right now going into this live, so I'll take it, because I do feel like I have spent a lot of time looking over so much information that I think is interesting and that I want to share with you guys. So yeah, I hopefully am getting better and like more efficient at it, and as time goes on. But I am proud of myself for actually like going on. Anyways, I today am going to try to do the live for at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But I don't want to push myself too much. I have like plans tonight, so I want to be able to like still kind of get ready for that. But I will just give you guys a little bit of a review, very short, of like what the last 3 videos have been about on this like streaming series. And hold on. I just made this smoothie especially for the live right now. And it has, well, obviously like frozen fruit. And then I put some juice in it. And then I also like put a half a can of Red Bull. Like, I think it's called like apricot or something like that. It's like the orange can one. And then I also put in a pineapple flavored cider too. So, anyways, cheers to everyone. This will hopefully be a chill beverage. But so all right, so yeah, this is the fourth live that I'm doing on this set of information that I'm wanting to talk about. And I think I foresee probably at least like one or two more lives that go along with all of this stuff. Like I have about 20 different things that I want to discuss or kind of point out. So the first one, actually the first two really focus, like the first two lives of this. So if you look back, it says like Pacific Northwest 1 and 2, like live 1 and 2. And that first two covers the big explosion that happens in Yolo County in California. And that is where there were 7 victims at a factory, a warehouse. And it was apparently undercover. Not undercover, it was illegal, like under the table fireworks that they weren't legal. Even though this guy had a permit, he didn't have a permit that allowed them to have this big of and this many of fireworks. And it gets to a point for me is like, it says fireworks, but it's like, at what point is it just like explosives material? Like what are they actually like saying to us? Are they just kind of like trying to make it sound better by being like, oh yeah, it's just a bunch of fireworks going off, instead of being like, oh, actually there was like, 40 bombs that went off this weekend, and like, whoops, you know what I mean? So I don't know much about bombs. Luckily, I'd say that's luckily for me to not have to know a lot about bombs. But, I have like dabbled here and there, and like just my interests with the true crime stuff, like, a lot of the stuff from, and I do think some of that stuff kind of overlaps with some of the stuff that I will be talking about in here too, but that is where, shit, it overlaps. Damn it, what was I just fucking talking about? Crap, I cannot remember. That's super annoying. Oh well, it'll come back to me maybe. But yeah, so anyways, this huge explosion, super shady. It killed 7 people. They like didn't allow people to actually go into like the area to start doing recovery until like 7 days later, and they like weren't updating the families with any information. It was super messed up, and they were like, there's like a lot of like the families were protesting, and there was like 3 brothers that were involved. And then so I kind of went over that. It ended up being that this warehouse was owned by a sheriff deputy, and then also, and he also owned the fireworks company called like fucking devastation techno, something like that, whatever the word tech is for fireworks, techno something, anyways, graphics. But anyways, so yeah, and then there was also I'm sorry, I'm being like stoned right now. Hold on, let me focus. Oops. Okay. Sorry, I'm being spacey right now, but I think I'm having a lot of distractions. But let me just get grounded again. So yeah, there was like a that's the word that I was trying to say. Pyrotechnics. It was called like Devastation Pyrotechnic Company or something, and that was like in the warehouse, and it was also a part of like a biological warehouse as well, like for foods that they stored, and like making different seeds for like agriculture, and I think possibly like different chemicals and stuff, like when it comes to using different like GMOs, or I don't know, they like spray different plants and vegetables and animals with weird biological stuff that makes them, you know, like not have any seeds or stuff like that. But yeah, and then so those were the first two videos of the lives were about that. And then the one that I did yesterday, I moved on to another incident that happened, and like that YOLO warehouse explosion just happened at the beginning, or like the end of June, very end of June. And then there was just recently on June 17th, and this is what I talked about in my live yesterday. That was, I think, about like an hour and a half or so. And that was about where there was three sheriff deputies from the LA County Sheriff's Department, and it was like three of their very like elite officers, and they were part of like special groups that were for like the oh my god, you guys, I get so easily freaking distracted. But so then we went over that. Oh yeah, dude, actually it was kind of interesting. I think I sounded like actually more coherent than I do right now. So that's a plus to watch that one if you haven't, but it does go over how it was the deadliest. Okay, I'll give you just some basic rundowns. It was like the deadliest day in LA County history since like 1857. And it also was involving stuff from Santa Monica and like maybe explosives that were in storage units that they didn't necessarily know about. And then also maybe looking in some boats like out in Marina del Rey. And then they also had where the actual incident took place. They like, you know, were supposedly called to take away an IOD or IOD, whatever it's called, like at this woman's storage device. And they're like, oh, it's super common. People bring it home from the war, or, you know, sometimes they're like inept, but some of them aren't. And, you know, like I have heard about that before. Like I feel like I remember hearing about like some general that like gave his like a little kid, like, you know, probably like a 12 or 13-year-old kid, like one of his like grenades, like or like maybe like an old school one. And it like the kid was messing around with it and it like actually exploded, and like I think it like killed the kid, you know. And this was just like a couple years ago. No, maybe it was like 5 or 10 years ago. Oh yeah, and it just came back to me what I forgot what I was talking about before is the overlap that I notice with a lot of the cases having to do with like government like interference basically, and like the you know, like David Koresh and also the Unabomber. They were all I bet like YouTube is gonna hate every single word that I'm saying with all of this. It's like definitely gonna flag them, but anyways, it's not me, it's the government. But anyways, yeah, they were like though like those people used smaller like defense like explosion devices. So, and it's always people that like, I shouldn't say always, but it seems to be a lot of people that are out west, and like they will like that, you know, like the Unabomber, or no, Ted Kaczynski just like lived in the woods in Washington and like just made little pipe bombs, you know, and then like wrote creepy letters to people, but he was like a super big genius, you know. And then the other people like David Koresh and like what was Ruby Ridge, was that the same thing where basically it was like kind of these like alt religions or like communities, like that's actually where like a lot of the Mormons went out and like kind of started to settle because of the just deals that they got on the lands out there, and then also their ability to like practice their religion that they wanted to practice. So but then the government started getting involved because they were like, honestly, I can't remember, but like there is a couple of good documentaries, and maybe I'll write that down too. Maybe follow back up about that, is like talking about the Ruby Ridge incident. And look at this cool pen that I got. It's a UFO and it pops off, which is pretty sweet, I think. All right, so Ruby Ridge, and but hopefully you guys kind of get the feel or the vibe that I'm talking about, like the Unabomber and Ted Kaczynski's, like all those kind of like crazy people. Oh, like what was that creepy guy that there was like a lot of child trafficking, because he was like the lead of the like LDS, but it was like the fundamental LDS, like not Jessups, but it was oh my god, you guys would totally know the name if I said it, or you probably do know it, but I can't think of it right now. But he's still in prison. Oh, that was like down in Waco. And he was considered the prophet, but he was married to like 60 different, he had like 60 different wives, and some of them were like 12 years old, you know. So anyways, it's kind of the same vibe, at least that I'm picking up maybe a little bit on with some of this stuff that's coming out, and that we're talking about. So anyways, but what happened, just to kind of wrap this up, so we can jump right into the new articles, is that the so yeah, it was wait, oh my god, seriously. Yes, so it was the 3 police officers that were on the Bob Squad that all were killed on the job in LA on July 17th. So like not long ago at all. Like I think it was actually 2 weeks exactly from today. It was 2 Fridays ago. And it was like 2 Fridays ago from yesterday, where they received, apparently the LAP Sheriff's Office like received a call saying that there was some old like grenades or like explosive material down in this person's storage unit at this like apartment complex. So apparently they went over there and like they grabbed what they thought that they had over there, and then apparently the next day they were all out at this training office where the special like bomb squad unit and like other special units have training sites out there. And they had brought, I guess, that material out there when a huge explosion went off like in the middle of the parking lot. So it wasn't even like it sounded like they had like one of their big like trucks that were maybe keeping some of the material. And the LAPD has had a very poor history with things like this. And that is kind of where I think we left off and where I'll jump back in. And yesterday we did kind of like, I showed you a couple of more articles that discussed the screw ups of the LA Police Department in the years leading up to the most recent one. And it kind of shows that there's like a pretty significant history of the LAPD not being like not following policies and procedures. And they even had like, you know, an investigation done, because let me tell you what they did, because this is crazy. They like, it's actually whoever wrote the article is pretty funny, but it's not funny, but it is crazy. But so anyways, we'll just jump into that right now. Yeah, so basically that's, if you have any confusion about that, please watch the live from yesterday. And then today we'll just jump right in. So the way that I kind of like lined it up, so like I just said, now they have a, you know, there was like an explosion that killed 3 deputies. That was, you know, 2 weeks ago. Then they also talked about how there was bad history, and that's what we covered in the last live too, where there had been multiple explosions or huge fires that had taken place in other training units for the LAPD. And apparently that is their mobile like shooting ranges. And it sounds like really suspicious about why they would, it just seems shady to me. And then also they were searching on a boat at Marina del Rey the next day after the explosion happened and killed the deputies, and they found, oh no, I don't know if they found anything. They were seen taking a bunch of stuff off of the boat, but there was like a mention that another training spot that had been developed in the police department had been at a training facility or pop-up spot or whatever they call it at the Marina del Rey. So to me, because I think it sounded like they wanted to be like, well, just in case like there's like explosives on boats, like we have to train for that too. And then they're just like setting up these different like random places, and they just like have obviously do not know how to handle it appropriately and professionally, because they're like literally like killing people. Like there's 3 people that just died, and the last dude that died that was in the LA like police department or sheriff's department was someone who was injured at another training facility, like, and he died in April this year, like after, like we covered that yesterday in the live too. So anyways, when I started to read into those things to be like, okay, wait, what happened? Because it kept being like, as I went back, it would then refer to like another thing that had happened a couple of days before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with just kind of chronologically what happened, and then just kind of, yeah, put that out there. So I'll share this. Okay. Cool. So this article is from okay, so yeah, this was dated 2021. Do you see that huge explosion? Watch. Like, that's fucking big. So it says from a fireworks tip to a catastrophic failure in 12 hours, how the LAPD blew up a neighborhood. And it like legitimately, I mean, this is the Los Angeles Times. Like, I mean, they like literally did blow up a neighborhood, and like it's cost the city over like $15 million at this point since this happened, because they had to like pay for a bunch of people's like healthcare or like whatever stuff happened to them, because a bunch of people got injured. Like, listen to this article. So yeah, I'm just gonna like, here it says a sequence of images, blah blah blah. Okay, it says it shows the LAPD's detonation of a cache of confiscate. So they did this themselves. Like how how they were saying they blew up a neighborhood. They like legit were like, it's fine, and everyone was like, I don't think it is fine. And then they were like, no, yeah, no, it's totally fine. And then they were like, no, like seriously, this isn't fine. And then they kind of did it anyways, and then it just blew up the neighborhood. So yeah, they had gotten a tip from apparently a place in like someone's garage, and that is where a bunch of illegal fireworks was being sold apparently. And so they like went and confiscated that stuff, and then this is like what they did with the things that they confiscated. So oh nice, I love that. Someone just posted on Reddit, the Minnesota subreddit, being like, let's start the revolution here. I'm done with that. I think Minnesota would be a good place to start the revolution. So I don't know if I've mentioned, but I definitely am a strong believer in the need for a revolution right now. And I'm interested to, discussing further in like different communities and stuff, because I do think this shit that's been going on, like how is this happening? How is the LAPD literally blowing up neighborhoods? You know what I mean? And I'm sure that they only have these training sites or they do this bullshit. Like, I'm sure they don't do that up in like the hills. It's like in all of these like, migrant or minority communities. So it says the sequence of images shows the LAPD's detonation of a cache of confiscated fireworks in the 700 block of East 27th Street in South LA. The June blast, this is, I believe it was June 2021, but the June blast damaged 35 properties and displaced dozens of residents. This is dated, the article is dated March 6, 2022, and it's written by Kevin Rector and Brittany Mejia. I'm so sorry. I don't think that, oh, damn it. I don't think that I have like sound hooked up to these pages either right now, so I'm sorry. I can't have it like read out loud. Okay, in a city obsessed with lighting fuses for big events, the anonymous tip to police was not particularly explosive. A man was selling illegal fireworks out of an alley in South LA. LA police officers pulled up to the Pink House on East 27th Street on June 30th and found dozens and dozens of boxes, some stacked 9 high, marked with an explosive symbol and eye-catching labels: King of Pyro, Supernova Rockets, All-American Blockbuster. As more police arrived, Jose Becerra and his wife, Claudia Silva, watched it all unfold in front of their home, which sits next door to the Pink House. Later, after the bomb squad came and their family was warned to stay inside, Silva asked an officer if they'd be safe. So this is a neighbor to the house that they confiscated these fireworks, and then they started seeing like a bunch of officers show up, and they were like, "We good? We good?" And they're like, "Yeah, everything's good." But then the bomb squad did come later and said to stay inside. That's it, just stay inside. And then I guess she was like, "But are we going to be safe?" And then the officer, she recalls him saying, "Yes, don't worry." So, like, totally reassuring. Residents had no idea that at least one person, the most experienced bomb technician on the scene, was worried. This is when I was saying that, like, the one guy was like, "Wait, but maybe something's wrong." And they're like, "No." According to a new Inspector General's report, he had expressed concerns to his fellow technicians about how to dispose of something found with the commercial fireworks: hundreds of less stable homemade explosives. Okay, so they're saying, yeah, they found like a bunch of these, like, fireworks that this guy was selling illegally. But then with the commercial fireworks, they also found a bunch of homemade explosives with it that were way less stable than like the ones that are like factory made and like regulated. So this is 9 boxes right here that they have of these. It says, following an anonymous tip on June 30th, that a man was selling illegal fireworks out of an alley in South LA. LAPD found dozens and dozens of boxes of fireworks on the property of Arturo Sija III. That technician, I was just reading the description of the picture there, but going back to the article, that technician would be largely ignored, though one of his last-minute warnings was heeded and probably prevented many injuries. The homemade explosives were deemed too volatile to haul away, so authorities decided to detonate them on site in a total containment vessel. The explosion that followed is well known. The blast destroyed much of the surrounding neighborhood, damaging 35 properties, injuring 17 people, and displacing dozens more residents, many of whom have never returned. And it says right here, which I won't click on this one, but this is just like, like I said, and like you see this over and over again, like throughout time and history and whatever. But I mean, it always happens to like underprivileged communities, and they kind of get shit on, like, same now, like where poor communities have like higher pollution, they're more likely to be like in loud areas, so you can't like sleep as well. Like there's more likely to have like, just more poor lifestyle, and like just what comes from having no money. And then and then shit like this happens to them, and it's like even worse and harder to recover from it. They're like, residents displaced by LAPD fireworks explosion feel angry, alone, ignored. We lost a lot. It's like, yeah, they lost their houses. They've like been living out of a hotel now this whole time. And like, I think they just, oh wait, no, this one right here, I don't know if you can see this. but this is one of the articles we read yesterday, and it is from July 2nd, 2024, and it says LA to pay $21 million in settlements tied to botched fireworks detonation by police. So same idea. They are having to pay out, and that's just with like, that's not even all of the victims from it, and not also including all the money that it's cost them to like have to pay for the hotel and housing and all that stuff too, which, yeah, like I said, is not included. So, okay, in the months since, authorities have attempted to reconstruct what happened during those 12 hours between the tip and the explosion to understand, that's what she said, or he said, how things went so wrong. Last month, the Los Angeles Police Department's Inspector General published a report that revealed for the first time how members of the bomb squad had interacted in the hours before the blast. I actually have that too, right here. But it's 48 pages long, and I was thinking it would be interesting to actually like review it, and just, I don't know if that would be a waste of time though. I don't know if you guys think that that might be a waste of time for me to do that, like, or if you think it would be cool and it'd be like good to be able to like review this, because this is like what the report that the investigator general from, like, I don't even know who did it. No, like, well, we can see the Office of the Inspector General. So, Inspector General report of LAPD blowing up a neighborhood. Okay, and like, you know, a lot of times, I think I mentioned this yesterday, and like you do see it a lot, like just people kind of throwing it out, and it is something that I like to remind myself of. But sometimes it is hard to tell the difference between whether or not something is corruption or if it's like just incompetence. And I do think, at least I feel like we should give them probably more credit than we do in terms of like kind of how forward, like ahead they are in stuff. Like, and by them, I mean like the people that are part of like the LAPD and all of the other people that might be involved with these little offset companies, like these stupid training mobile sites, and whoever they're pairing with that has these explosive warehouses and, you know, stuff like that. Because I just imagine them all out in the, you know, Pacific Northwest in these little areas. Like, another thing that I want to talk about, and we won't necessarily have time to talk about it today or whatever, it's like a tangent, but like checkerboarding, and like the way that land is locked out in those areas. And that goes along with some of the other like types of incidents that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. Like the next live would definitely won't have time to get to it today, but and that has to do with like just a lot of people that are like, there's been so many manhunts this summer, right? Like a ton. And it's always like involving a military guy that, you know, like annihilated some families or something. I mean, not always, but it's just, there's just weird things surrounding it. But like I said, I'll get to that tomorrow. But there are, yeah, like there's several different types of incidents that I've noticed that I'll be explaining to you, and that we can kind of group together. But anyways, I will, yeah, let me know if you guys think that that would be interesting, and stuff. Just trying to think of what I was saying. Yeah, I feel like they're just in these little militias, and they like just hide out in these like checkerboard, like out in these like really rugged terrains, and basically just like play war out there, and like, you know, get ready and, you know, stash a bunch of explosive materials, and like train in difficult like terrain to be able to like kind of, you know, maybe go to war with people. Okay, so hold on. All right. They published a report that revealed for the first time how members of the bomb squad had interacted in the hours before the blast. Along with input collected by the Times from local residents, the report helps paint the clearest picture to date of how guesswork and a laissez-faire management style led to what it calls a catastrophic failure. So it basically is like this like 48-page report is explaining how shit hit the fan, and it was because management sucked, like laissez-faire, like that just kind of means like what, like isn't it kind of like whatever, you don't really care. And then like also let me just look that up real quick because now I'm like, is that true? And then guesswork, so it's like they don't even know what the fuck they're doing, you know what I mean? Policy or attitude of letting things take their own course without interfering. Yeah, like, well, they can just do it, let them, yeah. So anyways, but such scrutiny would come later, after unusually large amounts of explosives were placed into the containment vessel to be, as they say in bomb squad parlance, rendered safe. So there is, yeah, here's all of these like kind of like homemade explosives that they found on, like, when in this guy's garage in LA, they found all of these extra fireworks. And so then they were like, okay, all right, bomb squad, get out here. Like gotta take care of these. And then they were like, all right, well, yeah, like let's just do the thing where we can contain it in a vessel and we can like explode them all in a contained vessel. And so yeah, okay, here they go. From 7:54 to 11 a.m., dispatchers sent the nugget of information, illegal fireworks for sale, over the radio at 7:54 a.m. An hour later, Becerra and Silva, who were getting ready to pick up breakfast for their family, noticed officers focusing on the house next door, the home of 26-year-old Arturo Sija III, the pink house with the explosives. The couple initially stayed inside their own home, shared by 10 family members. Like I said, these are like more of the immigrant communities and like kind of the more, I guess, like lower SES, whatever, like basically the, poor neighborhoods, where you're having multi-generational families living in, a couple of bedroom houses. And so that's where their training sites are, and I guess where they're going and finding these explosives. So, and obviously this is like, illegal activity, like, and again, like you tend to see like when there's disadvantaged communities, like people trying to find ways to like survive that maybe like are considered from like, the police department to be criminal. So for here, you're seeing that they are living in a neighborhood that also where they're like exposed to apparently the next door neighbor that's making his own like explosive devices, and a like idiot police department that has zero idea of how to like responsibly and safely deal with this stuff. So the couple initially stayed inside their own home shared by 10 family members, including 2 elderly aunts, because they didn't know what was going on and feared potential gunfire. But then they heard the police shouting about fuegos pirotechnicos. Hey, that was pretty good. All right. Fireworks. So like also like the pyrotechnics that I was trying to come up with earlier and kind of remembered. This seemed less serious. Residents along 27th Street, see what I said before too, it's like, it's just like a code word to be like, if you say like, oh yeah, it's fireworks, but it's like, no, it's like bomb material, dude. Like they're just making bombs. Like what's the difference between a huge explosion of like, gunpowder in a firework or a pipe bomb that you made, I mean, obviously there is a big difference, but I'm saying they're trying, okay, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, that they were trying, yeah, this seemed less serious, like, oh, just fireworks, like we don't have to worry about these 40 bombs, homemade bombs that are sitting next door, okay. Residents along 27th Street were used to hearing fireworks in the weeks leading up to the 4th of July and after. Or like in my neighborhood, you can play the game if it's fireworks or gunshots. No, my neighborhood's not that bad with gunshots, but you definitely do hear them. but you hear them like more in other places in the city. The concussions were so strong they sometimes set off car alarms. This is like some of the fireworks that they hear in this area. But residents had never seen this kind of police response. Becerra said. Police said it was Seha's mother who gave officers permission to search the property. So that's the pink house. Many boxes of fireworks were stamped "Made in China." That's the China connection. If you rewatch if you haven't seen the lives before this one about the weird incidents, I talk about the like fire, like I guess gunpowder, and how a lot and like how it was invented, in China way back in the day, and they've kind of always held a market for it. Like I think it's like 80% of the world's explosives, like fireworks, but also any other type of explosives that you might want to use, come out of China. And so, and then there were people that were victims in that explosion in the Yolo County warehouse explosion, the fireworks warehouse explosion. And those victims, some of them had like connections with Shrimp Boy, or like they were definitely from the Bay Area, like San Francisco and Oakland. And one of them had his own YouTube channel and had like a lot of stuff with some bigger Chinese like organized crime people. So yeah, and one of them's name is Shrimp Boy, which is kind of funny because remember, like with Karen Reed, I don't know if anyone followed Karen Reed, but there was that like YouTuber guy who like got really involved in it, and then his name is Turtle Boy, which is like so weird. And then whenever I hear Turtle Boy, I always think of like that one like weird meme of that turtle kid. Let me find it. Turtle meme kid. Oh yeah. Do you remember him? I like turtle. Hold on, we have to find the. Oh, but you guys can't hear it because damn it. Okay. Well, I'll do that as it should do next time. But anyways, probably not necessary. I digress. Let's get back to the article. The logo of a green space alien. Hey, look at these synchronicities today. The logo of a green space alien marked some boxes as coming from Area 51, a fireworks dealer in Nevada, which I don't know about Nevada, but definitely Nevada comes up like a lot with like Idaho and Nevada and Utah and like some of these areas like in Northern California and like Oregon and Washington-ish area, and like kind of the mountains around there are definitely pretty like rugged, and that's where I think that they're like training their militia. But you didn't hear that from me, allegedly. Okay, they say the homemade explosives were deemed too volatile to haul away, so authorities decided to detonate them in a total containment vessel in the South LA neighborhood. I'm sorry, I have to respond to like a really quick text messages. My bad. For sure. Okay. All right. The officers, realizing they had a lot on their hands, called for a backup. So this is saying that they had all these boxes of explosives. Like, look at all that. And remember this other picture? No, not that one. This one too. Like, holy shit, that's a lot. Like, that's a shit ton of explosives. You know what would look like? Like if that all just went off, it probably would look like this. Oh, yeah, it'll probably look like this. Ooh, there's some other really good videos of some of these other explosions too, um, that are kind of cool that I'll get into if I ever move forward into other. Although this is a pretty big deal. I feel like the last 3 incidents that I've talked about are like significant, you know? The other ones start to be not as significant. Like I talked about a couple yesterday that I felt maybe weren't as significant. Anyways, blah 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 blah. By about 9:30 a.m., the first bomb technician was on the scene. The LAPD's operations center was notified, and more LAPD personnel started arriving. It isn't unusual for police to take possession of commercial fireworks. At the exact same time across the city, 2 LAPD bomb technicians were staffing a fireworks buyback event in Mission Hills. This is shady too. This seems weird to me. What's LAPD's like obsession with all these explosives? It makes you think that they're like stockpiling it, like for some of their like side hustles. You know what I mean? Like militia side hustles, allegedly. I don't even, I don't know who would sue me for this. It's like, oh, I'm talking about all legal stuff. Like someone would be like, no, I'm not in that gang. I'm in this gang or something. I'm not naming names. So just organizations. But I guess I don't know if organizations can also like maybe sue me for defamation or something. But that would be so hypocritical of them because that's like what they do constantly in like every court case that they have. You know what I mean? Anyways, moving forward. Letting people turn in illegal fireworks in exchange for tickets and gifts. Like, what does that mean? Like, ticket and gifts from who? So, is this taking money from the LA County's like police department fund and buying people like gifts and tickets and then giving it to the like officers for free? You know what I mean? Like, I doubt that. I want to know what they're doing with this like extra material. Like they should be documenting this and they should be like explaining what they do with all of this shit that they take, Like that's dangerous. Remember that one huge explosion in like Dubai that was like that huge thing and it like killed a bunch of people um and it was like it was like basically an old warehouse that was just full of like like explosive devices that weren't going to be used or they didn't want to use them. And I've heard stuff and it makes sense to me. They didn't really know what else to do with it. And so they actually like blew it up on purpose, which I don't know, but like it is kind of like, what are you going to do with that? With all of that, and especially now if it's like old or like expired, it's probably like pretty dangerous um and you don't necessarily know what's in it. Like if you're confiscating stuff, like how do you know exactly what's inside there? Like, anyways, on 27th Street, the commanding officer of the LAPD's Emergency Services Division arrived about 10:30 a.m. and seeing the huge volume of fireworks requested even more resources, including the Major Incident Response Team. Like I just saw that. The pink house and 2 smaller buildings on the property were evacuated. The street and back alley closed to traffic. June 30th was a Wednesday, and officers told administrators at nearby 28th Street Elementary School to keep oh my God, you guys, to keep any children and staff away from the alley and a school field that abutted to it. So, like, they're not even going to be like, oh my God, that's like ridiculous, dude. Like, who thought that this was okay? Like, oh yeah, just keep the kids away from the windows when we like set off like a bunch of bombs. Like, what, dude? Then about 11 a.m., things got more serious. Officials had discovered what they called improvised explosive devices, or homemade fireworks believed to contain flash powder, mixed in with the commercial fireworks and piled in a trash bag. Wow. That's like a big deal. That sounds like huge trash bag bombs, doesn't it? Yeah, because it would be homemade fireworks believed to contain flash powder. So it's kind of the same thing. It's this powder that makes it flash, and like that's the spark, and then you mix it in with commercial fireworks, which actually does like spark and have like other explosives, and then put that all into a trash bag. Like what? And then if that all got together, like if one of those like flash powder bang things went off, it would set off like the other fireworks, or at least there would be like a pretty big, like, I don't know, chance or risk that it would. All were moved to the shade away from the commercial fireworks, and the containment vessel was called in. I wonder what the containment vessel was. It was only about 80 degrees, but police used fans to keep the fireworks cool and prevent them from detonating. Wow. Yeah, like LA is not cold, it's not hot. Okay. 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. As the morning progressed, residents watched as more personnel poured in, including an agent with the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. So this is now like the federal government that is getting involved. When before it was just the sheriff's county, like the sheriff's department from LA County. Did you know that LA County is like the biggest county, I think, in the United States? And that's why like their jail system is so humongous. I talked a little bit about that yesterday because I got to tour it and like applied there for my internship, my final internship for clinical psychology. But unfortunately, I did not match with them, and I matched with like the worst place that could have ever matched. Not to be, like a complainer, but trust me, I won't get into it. But someday I will, and you'll understand that I'm not just being overreactive about who I ended up going. I will say I ended up going to Lionel Lakes at the Minnesota Department of Corrections and for my internship, and it was awful. It was so fucking awful. And yeah, maybe that should be like another story day or something, but it might be good for me. Maybe it'd be like therapeutic for me to tell the story about it because it's like still get like a little bit traumatized by it. But anyways, I'm being a little dramatic, but that is seriously how I feel. So about 1:30 p.m., the two bomb technicians at the buyback and another at Los Angeles International Airport were redeployed to Ceja's home, bringing the number of technicians there to 5. Okay. So there was two bomb technicians that were collecting all of the explosives from and trading it with gifts and stuff, which it's like so weird. Okay. And then yeah, okay. And so it was two there, and then there was an agent with the ATF, and then well, whatever. All right. So, anyways, technicians there are 5. So there's 5. Just like last week, there were 4 that died. Police knocked at Silva's home. So this is the next door neighbor, and recommended the family evacuate because they were going to start removing the more delicate fireworks from next door. Okay. Wow. They recommended, hey, just, kind of wanted to just put it out there real quick. But, if you want to, I know it's like 10 of you and like there's 2 that are super old and like can't even walk. But like if you guys want to like go somewhere for a little bit, we might be taking out some like bombs from next door. But, that's up to you. It's like, what? No, dude, like you don't recommend, especially when you hear what happened. Okay, anyway, Silva explained that her aunts were in their 80s and asked where the large family would be able to go as police weren't allowing cars off the street. So like they're also saying like streets shut down, but you should leave. And then they're like, well, you won't let us out. And like, yeah. So the officer said they could stay. Oh, great. Thank God that they can stay for being around a huge like explosion. Silva said, but not to go into the backyard or out front. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, who allowed this? Like, this is so, I mean, obviously, like, they are paying out the wahoo because I'm like, this is like just such a lawsuit. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, who is not evacuating these areas? Okay. Although a little worried, yeah, I would be too, being like, make sure no one goes outside. Like, although a little worried, Silva felt at ease with the bomb squad nearby, I guess. If the specialists are here, she thought, we're safe. Oh, don't believe those specialists. They're all a bunch of phooey. At 2:44 p.m., the LAPD tweeted out an alert about the fireworks seizure, drawing news trucks and a helicopter. Oh, good. Around that time, the LAPD detective who oversaw the bomb squad gathered the 5 bomb technicians together. Okay, so they have a guy who is like their manager or supervisor, and it seems like, you know, their chain of command that they report to, and he has nothing to do with the bomb squad. So they're all 5 bomb squad technicians are reporting to someone that doesn't know anything about the bomb squad. This is crazy, you guys. This would be funny to like, no, it wouldn't be funny. I'm just trying to imagine, like, I'm just imagining it being like almost like an archer or something, you know? Okay, so it says, here's what we're dealing with, the detective allegedly said, showing the technicians the homemade devices. I need you guys to come up with a plan. Like, okay. Then the detective left them to it, which he later told ATF investigators was his way of doing things. He's like, if he were present, he told investigators, his technicians might be scared to ask a dumb question or to say something that would indicate they were ill-informed about certain technical aspects of the work. Like, oh my God, dude, did you seriously say that? Like, dude, that just is such an example of a horrible manager, supervisor to have in charge of like such a like serious, what do you even call this? Like, deal. This is like a serious deal. You know what I mean? Like, how is he just like, oh yeah, like they were gonna be, you know, like, and it's also like, well, so why would they be afraid of feeling stupid? Like, do you sit around and just like yell at people and like make fun of people if they don't like know what they're talking about? You know, it's just like, and even if he isn't like that, then it's like if he thinks that way, then it's still like he probably gives off the vibe to like other people that he's like, oh, I know you're afraid of me because I'm the boss and blah blah blah. You don't want to like mess up in front of me because I'm important. So, you know, like that's a weird vibe too for a supervisor. Like, oh my God, supervisors like are like bad supervisors can ruin your fucking life. Like, seriously, I basically, and I hate saying this, but I basically did have my life ruined by a fucking supervisor, and I wish he had not had that control over me at the time, but she did. And it like ruined me. It absolutely ruined me. And like she was like, all honestly, I mean, I've worked a lot of places. I have like definitely yeah, I've been in tons of different like environments of like professional environments, and I am always like, I get like, I haven't really had trouble at any of my jobs before. Like one time I got employee of the year at Tony Aroma's when I worked there in the Mall of America. Thank you very much. Which is kind of a big deal. Like when you're like 20, you know what I mean? Employee of the year, not even month, you know? Actually, there's a kind of funny story about that because it was my name. Well, so there's 2 people with my name at the job. Like, let's say it's Stacy. And so when they were announcing, because it was at the Christmas party that year, and I was like, I had just been out back like smoking weed, and I think I was already like, you know, 4 sheets to the 6 sheets to the, I don't know, I was pretty tipsy. I'd had like a couple of shots. Again, this is probably when I was like 21 or 22 years old, and all the managers were like, okay, and now for employee of the year, Stacy. And then everyone started like cheering, but it was like, they called me by my last name and they called the other chick by her last name, and her last name was McKay. And they were like, way to go, McKay. Yeah, woo. And I like didn't think anything of it. And they were all like, and then all the managers were like, no, actually, we're talking about like the other Stacy, which was me. And then everyone was like, no way. Which it doesn't really sound great for me when I'm trying to say that I was like a great employee, but I always like, I think it says, anyways, it's like, I'm just not that big of a deal, but I'm just saying that most of the time people like me, I'm a pretty personable person, but this experience that I had with my supervisor at Lino Lakes, Minnesota Department of Corrections, was the worst like work supervising situation, work period situation that I've ever experienced. Like I had never been bullied like that before, like not even like in regular life and definitely not at a job. I mean, it's just the power imbalance, like especially on an internship and it's your final one. It's like honestly, like the way that she treated me, if I would have quit if it was an actual job that I could have just quit, but it wasn't. It was my final internship. I had to complete a full-time year like at this internship. And so all I needed was her signature and I had to put in like, you know, full-time hours for a full year and like obviously like meet their standards or whatever. But I mean, it was full-time work as a clinical psychologist. And uh yeah, I just had like it was just the most like it felt like such like a helpless situation. And it actually was. But anyways, I don't know if supervisors realize like how much they can really impact their employees' lives. I think they do. But there's some really shitty supervisors out there. Anyways, I digress. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm lame, but I have to respond to this again. Um, my bad. Someone's coming to pick me up later, so I'm like trying to figure out what time. They're picking me up in like an hour and a half, so I have to figure out what I'm gonna wear and maybe do other stuff. I was hoping to get some other stuff done, but whatever. We'll just see how it goes. I'm gonna get picked up at 6, so I think if I get off of here by 5, that'll give me enough time to. Actually, maybe I should get off in like. Maybe I should get off in at like 4:45. I'll do that. I'll do that. That'll be good. Okay, so sorry. You guys, this is so bad on my part that I like haven't even finished this one. Whatever. Just going with the flow, man. And I talk a lot and it's my channel and I can do that. So booyakasha. All right. So here's this idiot detective supervisor saying if he were he left them to it and told them you need to come up with a plan because he didn't want them to feel like they would ask a dumb question or say something that made them look dumb. So he preferred to give them room to reach a plan on their own. Okay. So this is apparently people gathering on 27th Street, and that looks like an officer, right? Yeah, they all look like they're from like a Hispanic background or Latino. During that initial planning, according to the Inspector General's report, the corner technician identified only as bomb technician C, worried about the quantity of devices being placed in the containment vessel all at once. So apparently there was 3. No, we know that there was 5 bomb technicians, and this C guy is the kind of the whistleblower guy, being like throughout the whole time, kind of being like, wait, I don't think this is a good idea. Wait, you know. So this is what he said. He's like, this is too much to do in one shot. We're gonna break it up, right? The technician recalled saying to a colleague, his colleagues and supervisor told him that he was wrong and he should relax. He told investigators. Weird. That's so weird. Who the fuck like is talking like that? obviously they didn't know what the hell they were talking about. Like, why would they question the guy who's like actually trained in this, you know? I guess it says his colleagues, but so is it the other 4 of the bomb technicians? Maybe. 3 to 6 p.m. About 3 p.m., officers went door to door to advise residents that they would need to evacuate for an hour. Those who wouldn't or couldn't leave were told to shelter away from windows. No, dude, like if you're gonna be blowing shit up in the middle of the city, like you better get a goddamn bus down there and bus people out, you know? Like, hey, neighborhood, we're gonna like explode a bunch of shit. So we're gonna go ahead and put you up in a hotel over here for like a day or two. So you like, you know, it's like to be away for an hour. Like, what a weird thing. Hi, Leela. My little kitty cat just came over. Hi, meow meow. Natalie Quintanilla was inside her apartment with her 3 children when officers knocked. And I'm not trying to, with these names, I know I'm butchering them and I apologize really bad for that. And I definitely, the way that I say them, I'm not trying to purposely make fun of them or butcher them. And I'll try to be better about pronouncing them from now on. But I don't really know how to speak a different language. So, but I did figure out the explosive pyrotechnique or whatever. That sounds like Italian or something. Right. It's nothing major, Quintilla recalled them saying. You might just hear a really loud noise, and that's pretty much it. But just in case, we want to take you guys out. The officers knocked, saying, it's nothing major. You might hear a really loud noise. That's pretty much it. But just in case, we want to take you guys out. Because it's like a family with 3 kids. That's ridiculous. Nothing major. You might hear a noise, a really loud noise. It's like, no, that's like how people go deaf. Like, you need ear, like if you're going to be within a certain amount of distance and you actually know it's going to be that loud, like you need to be giving your citizens protection for that shit. Like, what the hell, LAPD? Quintanya strapped her youngest son in a stroller, and the 4 of them left to get food. Her neighbor, Ruben Martinez, and 2 of his daughters soon joined other residents camped out at the end of the street to watch the operation unfold. Oh, perfect. This could have been so much worse. Oh my God. Martinez's wife, Juana Osquera, was not yet home from work. Meanwhile, in the alley behind Siha's home, an ATF agent watched as 2 bomb technicians got to work on their first stage of their plan, using a device called a remote cutter to figure out what was in the homemade explosives. So they talked about this yesterday too, with like the 3 deputies that were killed 2 weeks ago in LA from the explosion. And they said that, you know, when they had taken it from that storage unit on Thursday night in, I believe it was like, I can't remember if it was in Santa Monica or if it was in another neighborhood, and then they searched him. Anyways, it was either like near Marina Del Rey or Santa Monica. I know that they were looking in both. And they said that they had done an x-ray of it and that they were going to find out like what was in it, and that they had done that. And that's why it was surprising that there was such a huge explosion on Friday after they had already, like, they thought, checked out the explosive device that they took, x-rayed it, and then made sure that it was like inert, which is unable to use. Okay. First came x-raying 2 of the devices, one small, one large. The scans showed what looked like powder inside both. Okay, doesn't sound great. To the technicians, that meant they could safely cut the sample devices open. Oh, okay. They could safely cut the sample devices open. Okay. Even if there was powder in it, that's kind of weird. So they did, emptying the powder into a container. Oh, okay. What they found was a silvery substance, which the technicians later told investigators was consistent with flash powder and aluminum powder and maybe potassium chlorate. What the fuck is that? Let's figure that out. Okay, so it is the inorganic compound with the molecular formula, whatever that is. In its pure form, it is a white solid. After sodium chlorate, it is the second most common chlorate in industrial use. It is a strong oxidizing agent, and its most important application is in safety matches. Interesting. So that would be like a fuse or something. In other applications, it is mostly obsolete and has been replaced with safer alternatives in recent decades. Ah, gotcha. So they don't use this probably in fireworks. But it's in here, and like also aluminum powder. What does that mean? Like, why aluminum? Like powder? Like gunpowder? Huh. And I think the flash powder is the stuff that, like, I would assume lights, right? Anyways, okay. The team then moved on to one of the most critical aspects of their work, determining the net explosive weight of the powder they intended to detonate in the containment vessel, which was designed to contain only a limited amount of explosives at a time. So what they're saying there is that they need to come up with like the total weight, and then they can figure out how they're going to split it up and put it into this containment device, because the containment device can only hold a certain amount of explosive material at one time. The technician believed all of the 320 plus devices, wow, so that's a lot of devices that they have now, held the same amount of powder as the two samples. So the next step was to determine the weight of the samples and multiply it by the numbers of devices to reach the total explosive weight they needed to dispose of. Okay. Well, how much was it? How much was one? And then times that by how many? 320. Look at this. It says this is the scene after the detonation. Look at all these cars. Look at all the windows cracked. What even is this? This car like flipped on its side. Look at all of the trash cans are like wide open, like shit. Damn. However, in a decision later highlighted by the ATF, the LAPD, and the Inspector General as a crucial failure, the lead technician, identified only as Bomb Technician A in the Inspector General's report, never weighed the powder. Instead, he guessed. Perfect. Love that. Love that for them. So that's so smart. That is definitely some critical thinking. Like, again, like this is the type of shit that it makes you think. It's like really like, okay, is it conspiracy or is it negligence? Like, are they really this idiotic and dumb? Like, I mean, this is like idiocracy type shit, you know what I mean? Or are they like trying to actually like blow up this material for some reason or something, you know? So the bomb, and the other thing that's bullshit too is that like all of these bomb technicians that are making, you know, they're getting paid more money to be on these like special teams. Like we give them all these fucking praises all the time. Like, oh my God, elite forces, like they give up their lives for us, blah, 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 blah. And we're going to pay them like a shit ton of money to do it and give them all these accolades and always kiss their ass and blah, 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 blah. And then it's like when, you know, what comes with more responsibility, you know, is like, I mean, this like more money and that stuff, and to be elite, like that's a lot more responsibility. You now are like more important, you know what I mean? And like, it's, if you're going to be making those decisions, like there needs to be a name behind that. Like, who are these people that are making these decisions? Like, can we make sure that that follows them so they like maybe aren't on future bomb squads in the future? Like, but instead the LAPD is just like, nope, sorry, we're just gonna like, you know, black out the names, just like Trump and like Epstein files too, you know. Um, Bomb technician A estimated the explosive weight at 10 pounds. He later told investigators he had tried to be conservative, estimating higher weights than were likely just to be safe. Oh, so he thought he was overguessing. No one used a scale at the scene. The technician picked up and looked at the devices, a technique the Inspector General's report called holding and viewing. Like, what a fucking joke. Wow. A technique. Like, so the Inspector General was like, literally like, yeah. And then the technician used the technique holding and viewing in order to determine this very important information. It's like, wow, dudes. Here's an aerial view of the total containment vessel after the fireworks explosion. Oh, this must be the containment vessel. So it looks like a trailer. Oh my God, you guys, that's the same shit that like all the other things have happened, like those mobile shooting training trailers or whatever. And that happened 2 weeks ago where those 3 guys died. It obviously happened here. And I think, oh yeah, and it happened, like they said, like multiple other times, like at least 4 other times in other training sites like this, where fires like broke out and people like died, you know? Damn, like look at all, like over here, all those windows are blown out. Look at that car. Wowie. Oh my gosh, this tree. Look at all the leaves. Is that what it is? Or what's that color stuff on the ground? Is that like all the leftover explosive? What is, oh my God, look at this car down here, you guys. Hold on. Can we get bigger? Come on. Come on. Look at this one. Look at that car. It's on its side. Oh, that looks like rags with like blood or something. They did say that there was like 17 injuries. Here's another one of their stupid fucking little things. Oh, is this the house? That's the pink house? Maybe. Looks like it. Very, very interesting. Okay. After I finish this article, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go. I'm sorry that I kind of drug this out, but I do think that this is interesting, and I don't have to apologize for anything because this is my channel, and I am so thankful that you guys are here. But yeah. Anyways, as bomb technician A was making his guess, bomb technician C again raised concerns as he assisted a third technician with the construction of a countercharge, the explosive used to detonate the fireworks inside the vessel. A countercharge. Okay. Okay, so it's like this first guy was like trying to like, you know, he was doing the technique of holding and viewing and mathing weight, and then guessing. There was also this bomb technician C who's like the whistleblower guy that keeps being like, I don't know if this is cool. And he's working now with a third bomb technician, and they're coming up with a counter charge, which is what they use in order to explode the explosives in this vessel that is supposed to like safely contain it. So with the detective supervisor present, which is the guy who was like, just let them do their thing, like, you know, don't want them to think that they're dumb, because, and like, you know, ask stupid questions. It's like he obviously has no idea what's going on. Anyways, with the detective supervisor present, Bob technician C recalled he again questioned the detonation plan, saying to the third technician, this is a lot of material. This is a lot in terms of net explosive weight and physical weight. It's a lot of material. There's a lot of devices. Like, yes, there's 320 devices. The supervisor allegedly told the 2 technicians to hash it out and stepped away again. Oh my God. Okay, I get it. So there's like, I see what's going on. Bomb technician A is the guy who is like Mr. Know-it-all, and he's like, it's fine. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, we'll just take a little, like, we'll just see by eye what that is and do some shitty math, and it's all good. Like, we don't have to clear out these neighborhoods. Like, this is all fine, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, the C guy, technician C, keeps, like, the whole time kind of being like, wait. And he's trying to, like, tell his supervisor, like, hey, no, this is too much. And the supervisor's like, I don't know. You guys figure it out. I don't know if, like, you know, what you guys are talking about. So it's between you two. And it's like, okay, so basically you're making this bomb technician C trying to, like, fight his peer and colleague. Like, it's like, yeah, there needs to, like, again, chain of command. And if you are seeing this many, if you know you're dealing, even if I could walk in off of this and be like, okay, this is like a lot of explosions, like, there needs to be obviously some type of protocol that we follow, and we have to, like, make sure that we actually follow that and, like, you know, document it. Okay. The supervisor allegedly told the two technicians to hash it out and stepped away again. Nothing about the plan was ever changed in response to bomb technician C's concerns. Okay, so apparently he did not win that fight. The vessel was rated to handle only 33 pounds of explosives. The ATF would later determine the bomb squad loaded it with 39.8 pounds of explosives. So, like, way over the amount that it's supposed to be. That amount includes the countercharge. A technician did use a scale to weigh that. Oh my God, that's totally like a, whatever they call it, from the, like, authors of this. What is that? Like a jab? Yeah. A technician did use a scale to weigh the countercharge, but didn't, like, think to manage actually all of the weight. Like, how much would a countercharge be versus 40 pounds? Like, that's insanity. Okay, from 6 to 7:37 p.m. By about 6 p.m., the illegal consumer-grade fireworks had been hauled away by truck, 32,000 pounds in all. So this is the actual fireworks, not the homemade explosives that they're trying to put away in this vessel. This is now is like 32,000 pounds of just, like, fireworks, even though they're illegal, but they are, like, you know, factory-made fireworks. At this point, portions of the street had been evacuated at the urging of the police officers, but the block was hardly empty. Now here they're helping a bunch of people. Like, at this, yeah, this lady literally, like, look at, she's getting helped here. This woman, it looks like she's bloody on her face. And then the LA Fire Department, which that's something else that comes up a lot in some of these cases that I'm going to be presenting and stuff, is it is like fire departments get involved too, along with, like, sheriff's deputies. Okay, so some residents like Becerra and Silva and their elderly aunts, who were right next door to Ceja's house and a stone's throw from the containment vessel, were still in their homes. Others, onlookers and members of the news media, were still outside, so close that bomb technician C, the, like, good guy, even though ACAB, raised more concerns and called for the team to hold off the detonation until people could be moved back further. We are not here for the media to get a good shot, he recalled saying in a later interview with investigators. This is about safety. Well, that's interesting. So is he, like, implying that his supervisor, like the detective supervisor, and then bomb technician A were kind of choosing to set it up so it could be put on the news or something? This time, people listened. At about 7 p.m., officials expanded the perimeter on each side of the containment vessel and directed a media helicopter to move a higher altitude. So yeah, that could have been really bad. Like, if there's already 17 people that were, like, injured significantly, like, think if they hadn't backed that up, you know. Farther down 27th Street, Maria Barajas and her husband, who said they were never told to evacuate, sat on the front steps of their home to watch the spectacle. Juana Osquera was just arriving home from work and pulled into the alley near her apartment building on the block, which had not been closed off by police. Oh my God. So they were just closing off. They didn't even think to close off. Like, it is just so sloppy. Like, what the fuck? They were obviously not following a policy and protocol with this. Like, this is like bombs. Like, what the fuck are they doing? Okay. At 7:36, as her children walked over to warn her of the police operations, she started recording a video. Inside Becerra's home, he and Silva were seated near the living room window as her aunts and an uncle watched the news in the same room. At 7:37, the supervising detective shouted, "Fire in the hole!" 3 times. So, fire in the hole, fire in the hole, fire in the hole. Becerra and his wife heard the shout and turned toward the window. The supervisor counted down. Oh, so the supervisor, even though he doesn't want to have anything to do with it, he's the one that's like, now a big shot, being like, okay, I'll do the countdown for the explosion. So he's like 3, 2, 1, and then he presses the detonation button. So there actually is like a button. That's crazy. The next thing Becerra saw, he said, was the sun, a burst of light, as the containment vessel blew apart and the blast it was meant to control shot out in all directions, flipping cars and cracking foundations, smashing windows and injuring residents. Glass shards littered Silva's face. Paul Sanchez, a photojournalist with KTLA TV Channel 5 at the time, had been among those who moved back from the containment vessel a half hour earlier. Even so, the blast still hit him like a football-style block and sent him to the hospital for hearing loss. Yeah, that's what I said too. Less than 100 feet away, Osquera's video captured the explosion. Oh God, she screamed in Spanish. Correlel, Correlel. She yelled to her children, run, run. Since detonation, 8 months since that moment, 19 families are still living in the Level, a luxury hotel downtown. Amongst them is Kenya Quintinia, along with her boyfriend and their 2-year-old daughter. She finds it shocking the bomb squad didn't weigh the explosives. You don't think they're just going to estimate something. You think that they're going to double check, triple check, quadruple check that they have the right measurements. She said, it's just kind of ridiculous. Not even just kind of, girl. Becerra said that when he learned that a bomb technician's warning had been ignored, he felt a rush of frustration, anger, and sadness. I can't find the words, he said. This misfortune happened because of egotism. Exactly. That's what it always happens with these stupid police departments. Like, it's like when it starts to be interagency, like cooperation, it's a shit show. Like, it's egos all over the place. And like, whenever you see them on their stupid little like pressers and they're like, we did so good working together. And it's like, did you really though? Like, and also like, they always spend like, like, I'd say like probably 90% of the stupid presser being like, I just really want to thank the, blah, 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 and the blah, 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 and the blah, blah, blah. And it's always like, these like military people or like different government, like law enforcement agencies, and they're basically just like jerking each other off, being like, okay, we're awesome. But then it's like, even if they do such a shitty job, they still like act like that. You know what I mean? Like, look at how shitty of a job they did here. And anyways, so yeah, this is a lady with the shards in her face. Seha pleaded guilty in federal court last August to a single count of transporting explosives without a license. He is set to be sentenced this August. To date, he is the only person to accept any blame. So the guy who lived in that house, he pleaded guilty in federal court to a single count of transporting explosives without a license. What the fuck? That's crazy, dude. What is behind that? Right? Like, one count, dude. Like, you just exploded so much explosives illegally and stored it. The LAPD bomb technicians and supervisors involved in the explosion have never been publicly identified. Another cause for anger among 27th Street residents. According to the Inspector General's report, the officers involved have been on paid administrative leave or desk duty since the disaster and will remain so until an internal complaint investigation is concluded. On Tuesday, LAPD Inspector General Mark Smith, the guy that we saw that wrote up that report, and 2 investigators on his team outlined his report's findings and recommendations for improvement to the Civilian Police Commission. Afterward, Commissioner Elaine Decker turned to LAPD Chief Michael Moore, and other police leaders and demanded information on what the department was doing to change the culture within the bomb squad that allowed such an event to occur. Yeah, exactly. What's up with this bomb squad? It's interesting that the commissioner like would like specifically call out that, I mean, it's not that weird because obviously it involved like that group, but it's just showing it's like not, she's very specific, like, no, LAPD, you know, we're talking about bomb squad. Because yeah, you need to have people that are comfortable. Like exact same thing that I just explained with my stupid supervisor that just ruined my life. And like, it was like not a good environment to like collaborate, to learn, to grow. Like you need trust in order to do that. Like, and in order to like, you know, share ideas and want to actually like work together and collaborate with one another, like there needs to be trust. And like, if this guy is, everyone keeps shutting him down and isn't taking him seriously, even though it's like super obvious that he was like obviously in like correct like side of things on in this situation. It's like, yeah, like, and you know, same with like the George Floyd stuff. Like it's always this chain of command, and it's like you just do as you're told. Like you don't question your superior, and they can treat you like shit even if they don't know what the hell is going on, you know. And so I think it's good that they're saying like make sure that, especially with something like a bomb squad that's that important, you know, that people feel comfortable to be able to raise objections. Like actually NASA was kind of like that. Like that was like what happened when the Challenger exploded. And it was like NASA, a lot of the like high ups there were kind of like, when people started mentioning certain things that they were noticing that were problematic and that might be starting to like cause, you know, problems with the shuttle and like the trip itself, like they basically kind of like shut them down and intimidated them, kind of being like, no, don't, you know, we don't have time or to question things right now, you know, like this is the way it's going to be. So anyways, the officials outlined more training, better oversight, new rules to ensure that dissenting opinions be heard, and new requirements that explosives be weighed and not detonated in residential areas. Duh, duh, duh. Like, seriously? Are you serious? Back on 27th Street. That just shows how little, like, they would not have fucking done that if it was their block. If it was like their cousins that lived on that block, if it was their neighbors that were living in that block, if it was their mom and dad, uncle, you know, family, friends, if they actually lived in that neighborhood, there's no way in hell they would have done that there. It just shows like how little they could care or give a fuck about these people. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, yes, dude, this is people's homes. Like you were ruining people's lives. It's not like some fun fuck off, like, you know, anyways. Okay, back on 27th Street, repairs continue. The city recently estimated $5 million is needed for ongoing support of the neighborhood and its displaced residents. Silva's 58 or 85-year-old aunt who has memory problems, asks every day why she isn't at home where she lived for 22 years instead of the hotel downtown. That's sad. Her niece explains again and again that it's because the police made a terrible mistake. Silva said she points out the fading scars on her face from the window that shattered. Just as her wounds get better day by day, she tells her aunt so too will their house. But last month, tired of waiting, her aunt left the hotel on her own. The terrified family went searching for her and alerted the police, who found her later that day. She had walked more than 2 miles, back to 27th Street, back to the block police tore apart. So that's, well, good job, Brittany Mejia. Is like very, oh yeah, it makes sense. She was a Pulitzer Prize finalist in 2021. That's awesome. She's definitely a good writer. All right, well, it is 4:54, and that is one article that we got through, and I'm sorry that we didn't get through more, but like I said, like I'm going down the list of incidents that are like less big of a deal. So I'm not going to be like reading like word for word like every single article that I put up. But yeah, I think tomorrow I am going to, oh, actually, no, I don't think I will be able to come on tomorrow, but hopefully I'm going to be able to like do some like reading and reviewing some of those unsealed documents. And I think I decided that I'm not, unless people are like really wanting me to like read and record every single document, I think it's going to be easier for me to just on my own time like read through the documents and then take notes and then come back with a summary video or live like discussion about what I thought was like important in those documents or what other people are thinking like are important in those documents. So That will be the plan for the unsealed docs, but I'm not sure what I'll do next. Maybe I don't know. I'm going to see how I feel on Monday, and maybe tomorrow night if I get home like at a reasonable time, but I'm going to be doing stuff during the day, so I don't want to like commit to coming on tomorrow night. But if I am home tomorrow evening, I definitely will plan to stream, and then for sure Monday see you guys, and I will have prepped then. And if you are still listening, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you have not subscribed to my channel, it's free. Please, please, please do it. It would be awesome. And I hope that you are enjoying the little community here. And if you like the video, please like, and I will see you on the flip side. Peace and love. Bye.